Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Bouchon, Vice President, Data Center Product Management here at Juniper Networks. Joining me today is Robert Semyon, who's Global Head of Data Center Network Operations for T-Systems. Robert, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
So, Robert, maybe we can begin with just a couple of sentences on who T-Systems is and what it is that you do.
So, T-Systems is a company with a presence, which is present in over 20 countries, almost 30,000 employees, and 4.2 billion revenue per year. What we are trying to do is support the customers in successfully managing the digital transformation and help them realize the full potential through digitalization. We do focus on cloud services. We do offer and operate a full range of cloud solutions. In our portfolio, or from customer point of view, we have all DAX 30 customers in Germany, and 100 of the top 500 Fortune companies worldwide trust the systems and rely on the IT services. As part of the Deutsche Telekom, we are offering a single source from the service secure operation of legacy systems to the traditional IT services, up to the cloud technologies and innovation of new things that we are bringing to our market.
So Juniper and T-Systems have partnered together for many years in an agile data center architecture supporting your customers, some of the biggest businesses in the world. Let's start maybe with a brief description of your responsibilities leading data center worldwide and how you meet the increasing demands for your business.
Sure. So as you already mentioned, we are cooperating with Juniper for many years now. Currently, we are mostly using Juniper as one of the data center LAN providers, meaning we use Juniper for our LAN infrastructure inside of T-Systems data centers, doing the basic LAN networking things to ensure the connectivity within the data center for all the compute, storage, and etc. Everything what is needed.
And obviously, customers are they have a lot of changing demands. Do you think that what they're expecting changes over time as they start to think about the technology as well? Like, if you could talk a bit about what you expect your customers to be demanding of you going forward.
Customers, and if we are in discussion with the customers, especially if it comes to a network, we in the past there was a situation that nobody was really interested in the network. Network was something that's supposed to simply work. Yeah, it's like like an elevator in the building. If you come to the elevator and you push the button, you're not thinking that the elevator will not come or the door will not open. It simply happens. Yeah, for you, it's automatically. In the past, it was the same. The network was something there, and network was something that the customer itself was not very interested in the end of the day. Yeah, it simply must work. That was the request. It changes now because also our customers are realizing that there can be a lot of added value coming out of the network services. I'm not speaking even, of course, about the security, which is more and more important, yeah, but also the capability of network to tell you where are the weaknesses of your complete infrastructure, for example, and not only in security, but also in performance. Yeah? How can you, by updating one device, gain 100%, for example, of performance increase and such stuff? Yeah? So this is getting more and more important, I believe.
Maybe you can talk a bit about what does this mean for those people who are operating the network?
Especially if it comes, for example, to automation, then many people get automatically afraid, of course. Yeah. If you speak about automation of stuff, then everybody is thinking, oh, now I'm going to lose my job, or similar opinions. But actually, the opposite is true. Yeah? We are trying to simplify the easy tasks, the tasks that are occurring every day. At the same time, we then free up our people that we can then use for more complex topics, topics that are adding added value to our customers. So not focusing only on solving our incidents within putting commands to the CLI. This is exactly the things we will like in the future, automate completely, and use the experts that we do have on the floor to discuss with the customers the problems and bring the solutions to them.
Yeah, we hear that a lot in the market as well. When people are afraid that the technology it's going to represent a threat to who they are, obviously it really unlocks more of what they can do.
Yeah.
When you're looking at this, just relative to the Juniper solution, can you talk a bit about the differences you see, from our perspective, the benefits that the partnership with Juniper brings to your business?
I see a huge advantage when we started a cooperation with Juniper on one side on the hardware that we are producing, of course. That was also one of the reasons why we chose the Juniper, but not only hardware, also on the software side. There is a huge advantage if I'm looking to Juniper now after the acquisition of Apstra, because Apstra is one of the things that we are looking very closely since several months and more than 1 year. And now we start to introduce the solution also to our first or to our existing Juniper build-ups. And this should work or should bring in the future a much broader scale of simplification and automation of the classical day-to-day business.
And you mentioned Apstra, that you had been looking at Apstra for more than a year. Can you talk a bit about what drew you to Apstra, and what was it that kept that engagement going strong even before the Juniper acquisition?
There is a huge trend at the moment in the market about software-defined networking. Everybody's speaking about software-defined networks and etc. I'm always in this discussion putting very simple questions like, what do you understand under software-defined networking? What is behind? Because there can be a lot of things hidden, and suddenly in the discussion, especially if we then start discuss internally or even externally with the customers, nobody exactly knows what to expect. Everybody's talking about it, but only a few people have very clear expectation from software-defined networking. Yeah, so it is really about not only having the underlying hardware, it is having the software which is doing the driving or the orchestration of the network in the future. And Apstra is the solution which we see with a huge potential fulfilling this orchestration part in software-defined networking. Very important also the capability, really, as I already mentioned, of automation of the use cases. Yeah. We look to Apstra in order to be able in the future to automate, and to automate not only in one field or automate only in one technology, but really to cover almost all aspects of networking that we are doing in our day-to-day business.
So, Robert, you mentioned multi-vendor when talking about Apstra. Maybe you can comment a bit about how unique a value proposition that is. Is that something that you see, everywhere in all of the competitive offerings?
Let me put it that way: that Apstra is not a single solution, which is allowing multi-vendor support, of course. But there are a lot of solutions that are focusing only on one technology or on one provider exclusively. Which is always difficult, because if you are using different aspects of networking and you then also, for example, go in several vendor strategy, that you have at least 2 vendors per technology, then of course it becomes very complex. And a huge advantage, at least for us, is that Apstra covers the most of the technologies which we are using. And that allows us, of course, to much simpler roll out the solution in our network.
Yeah, there's been a lot of change. I mean, you mentioned software-defined networking. Obviously, we've done some work around intent-based networking. We've got changes in technology everywhere. If you look forward at what you think is coming next, what's next for the industry, and really what's next for T-Systems?
If I'm looking to the future, I still think there is a huge potential in the things that we are doing at the moment. It's a software-defined things and intent networking, as already mentioned. If I should, or if you're asking me what will come next in the next months and the next years, I think the trend will very strong go into more machine learning, and in the trends of more and more watching the network, and giving the network the capabilities to decide for himself in some situations what to do. Yeah, I'm not going to use some fancy wording because that is really far future for me. But really to have the possibility to decide on strict defined rules by the network itself how to react in simple cases or in some cases, especially in cases of potential outages and similar stuff. So this includes data mining. This includes also, of course, the telemetry and collecting the data that we already have today and using more the data that we are collecting, because every single device in the network is producing some logs. Every single device is telling something about its state and about the situation in the network. It will be very strongly about using this data, this information much more in the future in order to trigger some automatic events.
And if you were to imagine that somebody is going to take your seat at some point, what guidance would you give to people who are, starting out earlier in their careers on the network operations side? What technologies should they be paying attention to? What skills should they be considering, adding to their own, set of capabilities?
If we are looking to the situation today, at least we as a company, we are trying to go to the way of DevOps and SREs. I would suggest the new people or the new person in the seat to focus on that kind of expertise to push the people, become more agile, become more self-driven, and get the needed skills to become experts, for example, in the site reliability engineering and simple and that areas. Yeah, because we do see that is something that is working, and we do miss at the moment people with needed skill in that.
So you've obviously been engaged with Juniper and Apstra for a while. I'm curious if you have any thoughts about maybe what you're most proud of. What have you accomplished that you really think is incredible over the past year or so?
If you are looking now and to today and how we enrolled the new Juniper switches in our environment, I'm really glad that it is ongoing and the implementation, because doing such exchanges is always difficult. Yeah? It's not an easy thing to do, just unrack and rack and recable and everything is working, especially if you are migrating from some legacy platform or devices to the new ones. But even there, we are able to do it very smooth. And that's something I'm really, really happy.
Robert, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate your insight and the stories that you've shared. It's incredible to look at the journey that T-Systems and Juniper have been on. I think it's a time of great change in our industry. And I'm personally excited about what that means for our customers. I'm excited about what it means for Juniper as a company. And I'm excited about what it means ultimately for the end users of the infrastructure that we provide. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you very much. Bye.